Bigfoot seems to have some miraculous attributes, right? It's very hard to find. It's very elusive. It has a very physically imposing presence. So all of those things, sort of might color that perspective that it's something other than just an animal. But again, we're all different. We all have different biases and different ways of looking at the world.
What makes him so elusive, do you think? Is it a factor that this is his turf and he knows it better than us, or what? Why do you think he's so hard to find?
Well, for many years, I've been arguing the fact that, I'm convinced that Bigfoot has adapted behavior patterns specifically to avoid being found by Homo sapiens, us. And I should preface that by saying that I also think that Bigfoot, Sasquatch, is an extremely rare animal, okay? Their numbers may have been greater in the past, but, these days they're probably teetering on the brink of extinction, if not highly endangered. So they're, first of all, just finding them, because they're very rare. But again, going back to the behavior patterns, okay, based on the anecdotal eyewitness evidence, Bigfoot seems to be mostly nomadic, moving around at night. This is based on, again, most of the encounters, about half eyewitness sightings happen at night. And, since humans aren't typically active at night, you could certainly infer that means that Bigfoot is more active at night, as many animals are. They obviously choose to live in remote wilderness areas where humans rarely go. And they also seem to be highly nomadic. They move around a lot. And they also seem to be highly intelligent. So if you add that all together, it seems that Bigfoot is trying to avoid human contact. And that makes sense because Homo sapiens has been responsible for the extinction. Sadly, we've been responsible for the extinction of many species on this planet. I'm of the opinion that Bigfoot views us as its greatest threat, its greatest enemy. And in order to survive, it has to basically stay elusive from us and avoid contact with us.
Going where we shouldn't be,
Luckily, this trail is pretty easy to see what's going on.
Yeah.
It's when you don't see them and suddenly you're.
This is weird. What are the rocks? What do rocks or something like this mean, Chris? Or what do you think?
Well, it's something. Someone is putting them here. Look, there's the man-made rocks on one side, the smaller size ones right here, then all these larger size ones here. And look, these are all river ones.
I was going to say they're all rounded. They're from a river
or a creek, right? So something brought them here, which is.
Because how far are we from the nearest creek or river? Like kilometers.
Kilometers. And why the ground is wet? I don't know. That's really weird. There's something unknown up here, and like the landscape is beautiful but foreboding, right? Like it's dangerous. Mm-hmm. This is a dangerous land right here. It's not soft, gentle rolling. It's like hard, jagged cliff death.
Has that been tied into kind of anything you've heard Bigfoot wise?
Yes, there has been an assumption that these anomalous rock piles that you'll sometimes find out in the wilderness could be associated with Bigfoot. Now, I've seen some of these myself when I was doing field research up in Alaska years ago. And, what I found is that, like you said, a lot of these rock piles were a great distance from any obvious source of large rocks. So certainly it doesn't seem like something that presumably a human might do that. You don't know why, but these rock piles have been associated with the Bigfoot phenomenon for many years. And interestingly, they are often found in areas of high activity. But as far as what they represent or, the meaning behind them, it's all just speculation, of course.
Oh, weird.
Yeah, see?
What is that?
Or
Like
that
a
over
shelter?
there. Little lean-to thing.
Oh yeah.
That is a camp person. Are we there?
What would that be? Like who would make? It's like a little place to stay. Look at that.
Yeah.
Like a little tent.
It's like a Sasquatch house. Holy fuck. There's a door right here. Oh no, it's on the other side. You can see the door.
Straw? No way. Whoa, way. Yeah, it's like pine needles.
Pine needle, it looks like somebody made it a little bit more comfortable for themselves. Sasquatch.
That's weird.
We walked past it.
On the way up.
Does the grass look pressed down towards the door?
Not here. So if someone was in there, it would have been.
A while ago.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
But that's really
this
interesting.
Is the perfect spot.
This is where we're coming to do our overnighter.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cause see, there's that other lean-to over there.
Yeah.
So there's two in a row here, man. That's real weird.
And that would kind of tie in because in the similar spot, we found there was like trees that were kind of broken down and put into not just like the markers, but they were like weird, almost made into like these teepee sort of structures, right? Like, and some of them were even laid out in this weird crosshatch pattern that again would make no sense for a person to do. I mean, maybe the teepee thing if you're going to go camp, but again, it's not a spot people camp in. How does that fit in? Because I know that there's definitely theories on the tree bending and things like that.
Yeah, there seems to be a sort of manipulation that goes on with trees and branches. And I've certainly seen a lot of these things myself, just like you're describing. Teepee-like structures, almost like a crude shelter, what we call nests, stick and tree formations, markers, as they're sometimes called. Now, certainly you could explain some of these in natural terms. Some of these may be man-made. For example, the crude shelter-like structures might be temporary shelters being used by humans out there in the wilderness. But there does seem to be a recurring pattern in terms of the way that these things are constructed. That is, large branches, small trees, and saplings kind of being laid together in crisscross patterns, almost like geometric patterns. I spend a lot of time in the wilderness, of course, researching different kinds of mysterious animals, but it seems like I see more of these strange formations in areas that are considered to be, again, areas of high Bigfoot or Sasquatch activity. And again, there are other theories. Some people think that these things may just be incidental things caused by nature, microbursts, which is a wind phenomenon, little mini tornadoes, or, flood events and things where brush is kind of being pushed together. Certainly that would explain some of them, but I've certainly seen some that are just, very inexplicable and very hard, to wrap your head around.
Well, I know the crosshatch pattern one there's no way. In my mind, there wasn't even tree. It was no way that a bunch of trees would have fallen there because it wasn't surrounded by a bunch of trees. It was like something moved it and, set it up in this pattern, which I've never seen that before. And I've grown up in the woods up here in Canada. You know what I mean? And that was just a very odd thing to see. And we had a First Nations man with us, and he's like, "That's just in his mind. That's Sasquatch. Like, there's no doubt in his mind seeing it."
So there's two in a row here, man. That's weird.
Next time on We Want to Believe.
Look out behind you.
Try my baby crying experiment and see what we get.
It's eerie to just sit there in the dark forest in the middle of nowhere and just play a baby crying all alone